Brian, I asked Jordan if the woes you guys were having scoring were mental. And you talked about changing tactics and maybe making changes after this match if things don't go your way. How tough is it, if it is mental, how tough is it to get out of that? How tough is it to, I guess it's your job as a coach, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on inside of the brain of every single one of our players, but I certainly get a feel that they're, a little stressed out about it, especially maybe Jordan, because he had high expectations of himself. I think there's fan base out there that has high expectations, and look, he wanted to play center forward, so I can see him talking about that, thinking about that. It's the combination of knowing when to put your arm around him and say, hey, it's going to come, because I said it last week, if he makes that same movement with him and Tevez against the Galaxy, if he makes that 10 times, he's probably going to score 9. It just so happens that this is the one, maybe it's 8 out of 10, or the second one that he doesn't score. So he needs to continue to do that. In preseason, he was getting a lot of looks, but he didn't have that final product. And then there was a little bit of, maybe a time where he wasn't, as confident. Did that affect his play? Maybe. So he's just got to go back to doing what he can do, what he knows he can do, and the goals will come.
He was just raving about how good he felt on the left side. I mean, is it a thing where maybe that desire to play center forward is now gone and he should just focus and play it on the left wing?
He said that he really loves playing there.
That's the way he sounded. Like he said he was comfortable there.
That makes me feel better. Because getting buy-in from players where they play certainly is important. I would think he'd like to play up front and left wing wherever he can to help the team. He's a nice kid. He might be saying that just because he knows I might listen to the interview. You never know. But look, if he's enjoying playing out there, he's certainly been good at it for many years. So if he's going to, take that little bit of confidence with him, to your point, that's great.
And how important is that going to be, his presence, when you're facing a Montreal team that's so comfortable in a low block, absolute pressure, trying to break them down? Yeah,
they'll start in a mid-block. I mean, they've shown, even they've been having all the road games, they start in a mid-block, so we might be able to use his strength there. But yes, as it gets closer to goal, closer to their goal, they'll defend deep. So Jordan has a speed and power. We've been talking about playing and sprinting and making sure there's movement, and he'll have to do that.
So the door isn't closed as far as him as center forward?
Say that again?
The door isn't closed as far as him playing center forward, kind of to Nico's
Not in my mind.
point.
No.
Yeah.
Not in my mind.
Can you give an injury update, especially if Joel's going to be able to have any minutes?
Joel's going to be involved in the game.
And if and when he goes in, what can he provide for your squad?
Leadership, toughness, grit. He's a competitor. Lots of things.
And then, Brian, his ability to kind of hold on to the ball or break teams down. How can that help unlock that?
Well, yeah, against the team that does play in a low block, to your point, I mean, the choice of passing is just as important as the pass itself. So that'll help.
In terms of his injury, famous last words and all that, but how confident are you that that's been addressed, or is it kind of a thing that's going to be dealt with, that's the nature of the injury?
The nature of the injury is something that he'll have to deal with the remainder of the year, but we'll adjust his training. We'll modify trainings and make sure we don't overcook him in stretches where we have a lot of games. But it's just, let's get him back on the field first, Jeremiah, and then we'll talk about the rest of the games.
It's safe to say that Obit's clear concussion protocol. He'll be able to.
Yes, he has.
And Leo's still a way out.
Leo's still working there off to the side. Next week, a little bit sooner than expected. Kid's a tough kid.
We haven't seen much of Verdilio. Do you have any sense of how far out he is?
He's still 3 to 4 weeks out.
Is it hard to wait for some of these talented players to get back on the field? When we talked to Adrian, and he said, the quality is out there, but it's kind of waiting for them to come back.
Yeah. I mean, Verdilio's one that we don't talk about, but he's a talented kid. We haven't seen much of him. Obviously, De La Vega was the big money guy, and JP. It's tough, but that's what it is. MLS is hard sometimes, not easy.
Is that how you kind of judge the potential of this group, though? Kind of like, are you trying not to look at who's on the sideline not playing for you?
how do I judge the group? Interesting, Alyssa. If I think I understand your question. I think the group is a good group. I think there's plenty of talent on the group for us to, make the playoffs, do some damage in the playoffs. Leagues Cup is coming up. We have experience in tournaments. I think the talent is there, but getting them all together. And then, look, maybe managing expectations for JP a little bit. Look, it took Albert a couple days, a couple games to get going. Yaimars needs to play a little bit better. Let's just be careful with JP. There might be a couple games, and then when De La Vega comes back, he might not be shooting right out of the gate. It takes a couple of games for those guys to get back into it. So that part is hard, especially for fans expecting a lot out of JP or De La Vega when he steps on the field. So let's just see.
While we're on the subject, what is the De La? It was a few weeks ago that we got the first assessment of his timeline. Is he still on pace, or
He's
is
on
there...
pace.
Okay.
No setbacks.
Right.
No setbacks.
For you, and the plan to have open trainings, a couple times a month, to have some fans out here, and the partnership maybe to bring a little bit more of the kids out here, is that giving it that Starfire feel, or how is that kind of impacting?
Well, I think, look, Starfire is different than this. Starfire was a public facility, and there were Saturdays where we would walk through all the parents and kids getting ready for their own games, and that's Starfire. This is going to be different, but yes, Jada, to answer your question, we would love to have this facility feel welcoming, that the community is invested in the team and the facility and being able to watch their guys. It's a little different because we have fencing and security and the building and Unico, and there'll be tenants in there, so it's a little different. But we want it to feel as close to Starfire, but I don't know if we'll ever get back to Starfire.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it fair to say that there are aspects of that community element that you miss, or is it? Or how would you describe the way you feel about?
I would just tell you these stories. So I tell you the story. So we had famous players on this club. I always love to use Clint in these examples. So Clint was such a good guy, and he's such a big name, and he would come, and on those Saturdays, kids would be going, "Oh, it's Clint, it's Clint, it's Clint," and he'd stop and sign all the kids and take the photos. And that's been going on, not just Clint, but Christian, Jordan, Steph, Roman, Nico, Zach Scott, everybody. And I don't know if that'll ever happen here again. And sometimes I miss that, but I can only imagine Deuce having to sign like 200. I had some empathy there.
Adrian joked, I don't know if it was a joke or not, but said that you guys have such a relationship, a couple decades, that you can talk about leadership change or talk about your future, that you may even joke when you're off to a start like this, do those kind of thoughts about your future kind of creep in?
Not yet. Obviously, I know I'm in pro sports. If you're asking me directly in my job security, it comes down to wins and losses. So when the team starts slow, certainly there's those conversations. I'm not naive. I read social media sometimes. So Adrian and I's relationship is a good one. It's a strong one. And if the time ever comes where he has doubts or I want to retire or something like that, we'll have those conversations. And I think that's the point. I didn't listen to his comments, but I'm sure that's what he meant. And I'm not afraid to talk to him about, look, if I think it's time, maybe I need another job. Who knows?
I mean, circumstances around the team definitely haven't been up the best, right? With all the injuries and things. But, I know you put yourself internal pressure when it comes to wanting to do better. So you still don't feel like you're in a hot seat in any way? You just kind of feel like everything's...
Look, I think people were comparing this start to 2018, right?
2013 is when you had the same
2013. Okay. What happened there? Ziggy powered through. It wasn't a great year for us. We've had slow starts when I've been in charge. Certainly, even going back to the USL days, we had slow starts and the team progresses. Look, this year is a kind of a lot of little things that are not clicking into place, and we'll fix them. I got confidence.